Now, Nick Calabrese testified that whenever him and his brother referred to the Vincent Moretti, Donald Reno murders, they referred to it as Strangers in the Night, because this song was playing on the jukebox when these two were getting beaten, strangled, and tortured. Now, during the trial, they talked about the planning and all the preparation that went into this burglary. The crew burglarized Harry Livingston's jewelry store in North Clark, but they had no idea he was good friends with Tony Arcardo. When he told Tony Arcardo what happened, within a few days, Tony Arcardo was able to return all the valuable jewels that were stolen. And then he had every burglar and other associates of the crew beaten, strangled, and tortured. Now, one of the many highlights in the Family Secrets trial is when the prosecution talked about the break-in at Tony Arcardo's mansion in River Forest. He was in Palm Springs at the time. He flew home immediately. He found out who was responsible. And he had every burglar and even some of the associates that weren't involved, maybe a dozen or so, beaten, strangled, and tortured, sending a message to every burglar in Chicago. Now, two victims of the Tony Arcardo break-in and two murders discussed at the Family Secrets trial were Vincent Moretti, ex-Chicago police officer, a Chicago associate, a loan shark, and a burglar who was dumb enough to go around town wearing Tony Arcardo's stolen cufflinks, and his good friend Donald Reno, small-time hood, who just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. They were lured to a bar on Cicero where they were beaten, strangled, and tortured. Now, Nick Calabrese testified at the Family Secrets trial that Moretti and Reno were lured to a closed bar in Cicero. Upon arrival, they were both jumped, beaten, strangled, and even tortured. Nick was pulling on one end of the rope around his neck with his foot braced on Moretti's head, while Frank Sr. pulled the other end of the rope. Donald Reno was getting the same treatment as well. All this while Strangers in the Night was playing out of the jukebox, and that's what they called this murder, Strangers in the Night. There's John Feccarata on the left, Ronnie Jarrett on the right, two associates of the Chinatown crew. These guys were talked about a lot at the Family Secrets trial, and Nick testified that they were also part of the Moretti-Reno murders. Donald Reno was jumped, beaten, and strangled by these two men. And at the end, both of these guys ended up getting killed by the Chicago outfit. There's John Mendel, one of the murders discussed in the Family Secrets trial. He was the leader of the Tony Arcardo break-in and one of the best burglars in the entire country. He disappeared 11 days after Arcardo's house got broken into. Nick Calabrese testified that they lured him to Ronnie Jarrett's mother-in-law's garage where he was beaten, strangled, and Nick sliced his throat from ear to ear. He was found naked, stuffed in the trunk of his car. Now here's Goomba, another heavyweight associate in the Chinatown crew. He was talked about quite a bit at the Family Secrets trial. He would have been a defendant in the Family Secrets trial, but he passed away before the trial started. According to Nick Calabrese's testimony on the stand, Goomba was part of the hit team that killed Vincent Moretti and Donald Reno, and he helped strangle both of the victims.